Hey FlossTube, welcome back. This is my 89th FlossTube video, and I'm excited to share with you what I've been working on this week. But first of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And if you are coming back, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. It's been a great couple of weeks, and I'm excited to talk about what I've been working on. But first of all, I want to respond to some questions that have been left since my last video. So first of all, Calda asked me if I grid my fabric. And no, I don't grid my fabric for a couple of reasons. First of all, I already work in blocks of 10. And so I don't feel a need to count everything out. The way I stitch, I don't stitch so that I move all across the entire design. I stitch from one place to another, right close to everything, and I go that way. So I don't need to worry about. I try to avoid counting out a large number of spaces unless I absolutely have to. And the second reason I don't grid is I just don't think that it would help me enough to justify the amount of time that it would require to grid. So that's the big thing, is I'm lazy and I don't think that it gives me that much of a benefit. So no, I don't grid. Marty asked me, my last video I showed the Queen sampler and showed how it's reversible, and Marty asked me, why would you worry about stitching something reversibly if it's just going to be framed and you'll never see the back? That's a valid concern, I guess. I am doing it because I want to learn how to do it, and it's something that I want to be able to say that I have done. So for me, it's just kind of a challenge and an opportunity to do something a little bit different, and a chance for me to learn. So that's why I am doing it. I have heard the last time this question came up, somebody mentioned that people learned how to stitch reversibly in the past, so that when they were stitching, for example, monograms on handkerchiefs, or something that you would have to be able to see both sides, they stitched that way so that it would look good on both sides. And I think that makes sense. I've also heard that it is possible, if you want to have something framed so that you can see both sides. I guess you would put some kind of plexiglass across the back and not cover it in brown paper. So that would also be a possibility, I guess. If I ever decided to do that, I could frame it so that you could turn it around and see what the back looks like. That's not really a priority for me. Like I say, it's not because I want the back to look good, it's because I want to learn how to do it. Mary asked me if I ever do small patterns. And yes, I have done some small patterns. I've shown you some small patterns. Small patterns don't really attract me. They don't, what I've found is that I don't get the sense of accomplishment when I stitch something small versus when I stitch something large. I like large patterns for the challenge they present. And then it's not really the challenge. It just, if I'm going to stitch something, I want to spend a lot of time on it to make it feel like it's worth something. And stitching something that takes a week or less, or even a couple of weeks, just doesn't seem to float my boat as much as something that's large. So I have stitched small things in the past, but I much prefer stitching the larger projects. They speak to me a lot more. Kimberly asked me, she asked me how I plan to finish 4 seasons. That's another piece that I showed and talked about a little bit last time. That's a design by Modern Folk Embroidery. I haven't really considered how I'm going to finish it. I will probably frame it sometime. and she asked if I would use a mat. I don't think I will use a mat and the reason why is because that piece already has a nice straight border all the way around, and that kind of fulfills the purpose of a mat to me. So I don't think I think I would frame it without a mat, and of course you'd have to find what I thought would be a good frame, but it's not a priority for me to frame that right away or finish it. So I haven't really thought about it more than that. And then Father Troima said, congratulations on reaching 5,000 subscribers. And yes, last week I hit 5,000 subscribers. And I just want to thank you all. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. And thank you for watching my videos. I couldn't have hit 5,000 subscribers without you, and I really appreciate it. I am planning on doing a giveaway. It will not be today. I still have to decide exactly what I want to do. 5,000 subscribers seems like it needs to be a little bit more significant than what I've been doing in the last few months. So I need to decide what I'm going to do to celebrate 5,000 subscribers, and I'll announce it. I'm planning on announcing a giveaway in the near future. So stay tuned, and you'll be able to see what I have in store. Okay. So I received, let's see, when was it? A couple of weeks ago, I received some fabric, and I actually received 2 pieces of fabric. I've been waiting for it for quite some time, and it finally arrived. We'll talk about one of those pieces a little bit later on. But I think at the end of May, I was doing a start every week, and I got to the end of the month, or towards the end of the month, and I had a start that I didn't like the fabric that I was using, and then I didn't have a piece of fabric that I decided I wanted to use for the other one. That second piece that I was considering starting is Miss Hathaway's Garden, which I don't have here. It's a design. It's an adaptation of a watercolor by Marty Bell. If I can, I'll insert a picture of it. It's a picture of an English cottage. It's the cottage that Anne Hathaway lived in. Anne Hathaway was Shakespeare's wife. It's a great big huge piece. It's about 300 stitches by 200. It's not big compared to Heaven and Earth designs, but it is big compared to the designs of the time when it was first done. And I finally found a piece of fabric that I think is going to work for it. The piece of fabric that I had, the blue was a little bit too light, and it wasn't quite big enough. It was just barely big enough to hold the design. There would have been no room for my scroll frame, or even to be able to frame it, I don't think. So I had to find a larger piece of fabric, and I found this. This is called Touch of Blue. It's really, really stiff, so I don't remember noticing, but it must be Witchelt fabric. And I really like this blue. It's a little bit, there's kind of a green tinge that I didn't expect. And when I say green, I mean it's just towards green. It's not really green, it's blue. But I think this will look, I think this will work really well. And I'm planning on, I think I'm actually going to start Miss Hathaway's Garden in the next maybe month or so, and I'll be using this fabric. So I'm excited for that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I've been working on. And last time that I talked to you, I said I was going to stitch English Garden Sampler. That's this design. It's a design by Teresa Wentzler. This, I have been working on this for like 4 years. This is my oldest whip, and I really want to get it finished, and that's what I said last time is I want to get this finished. So I worked on this for a week, and at the end of the week I decided I needed to work on it for another week. So that's what I did. I've stitched on this for 2 weeks, and so I'm excited to show you what I've been able to accomplish, because if you look at it, you will see, I think my progress will look pretty significant. So I'll insert a picture of what this looked like the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 25 count Antique White Lugana, stitching with Sullivans Floss instead of DMC, and I am stitching, it's 25, as I said, it's 25 count, and when I showed it to you last time and talked about where I was, I said that I hoped to be able to finish the bottom hedge and the second peacock. And I didn't know how long it was going to take. I thought that it would take more than a week to stitch, but things went a lot quicker than I expected. And so this is what things look like now. I finished this section in less than a week. It took me about 5 days to stitch. And I think part of it is I was just really excited to get to the end. So with this finished, I have finished all of the cross stitching on this piece. And now it's time to go back in and do back stitching, and there's also a bunch of specialty stitches. I mean, when I say I finished all the cross stitching, you can see there's still a whole bunch of empty areas in here. This is empty, this is empty. You've got all this empty space through here as well. That all needs to be filled in, but it's not filled in with cross stitches. And of course you've got this border, which has been all stitched, but there's a lot of empty space in the border that needs to be filled in. And so when I finished stitching this down here, I started working on the border. Basically, if you see this pattern, I'll show you this. This is the pattern. The beginning of the pattern has a whole page that's the key for the chart, and then you have this whole page of instructions. And this is all back stitch and specialty stitch instructions. So it says, do all the cross stitch and then do all this. And I decided, just to make things easy for me and to make it so that I didn't get lost in a whole page of instructions, I decided I was going to start here and just work through the instructions in order that they're given. So that's what I'm doing. And the first thing it says is to stitch the corner medallions in the border, and then this section is the instructions about the actual, the horizontal and vertical parts of the border. So I decided, rather than do each quarter medallion and then scrolling down to do the other medallions, that I would do the whole border all at once. So that's what I've been doing. And I made a working copy of this, and I plan on checking off each instruction as I finish it, so that I can make sure that I get all of this done. I haven't been able to check off anything yet because this border is huge, and it's going to take longer than I expected to actually stitch. So, so as you can see, I have finished the 2 top corner medallions and the top border, and now I'm working down the sides. And when I get down to the bottom, I'll do the corner medallions and then the bottom of the border. Yeah, this is a little bit more time consuming than I expected, but there's some really cool things, and I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a close-up to show you the border. So there's eyelets, both here in the medallion and then actually in the border itself. And then she calls these satin stitches, although they're not really parallel, because like this triangle here, you're stitching satin stitches from this edge to the corner, and that's the way it is all the way through here with these tan fan shapes in here. She calls them satin stitches, but they're more like a fan type stitch than satin, because they're not really parallel. They're all going towards the center of the stitch. And then there's one thing left that I'm going to save until the very end. There's beads all the way through here. So there's beads that will surround this diamond in the middle. And then there's beads that surround these diamonds in here. I've decided not to put those in yet. I'm going to wait until I get all the stitching done, and then I'm going to put the beads in, just because I don't want to have to deal with scrolling beads up into my scroll frame. I want to have to do that as little as possible. So yeah, even though I say I'm done, I still have to go back here and do beads. This lattice right here, this is straight stitches, and then I don't think that the camera will pick it up, but there's metallic cord crossing each of these intersections of the diagonal of the lattice. So in the right light and under the right circumstances, you can see a little gold sparkle all along here. The cord is actually really thin, and after I started, I almost thought about taking out what I'd done and stitching with 2 strands instead of 1, but I don't think that will look really good, so I'm going to leave it as 1. So it's kind of more of a hint of gold sparkle than really real sparkle. Like this peacock down here, there's a lot of blending filament in there, and there's real sparkle in that you will that you can probably see, that you might be able to see in the camera. So this sparkle up here is not as pronounced as the sparkle in the peacocks. So yeah, so I've stitched all of this down to about here, and I'm really happy with how this is looking. I just have to say that when you fill in all these empty spaces, there's a gradient in the green, and you don't really see it through here, but when you fill in all these empty spaces, there's just this beautiful gradient in the green, and the different texture of these stitches compared to the cross stitches, the way it catches the light, it's really something. I just really love how this is turning out. So I'm really enjoying it, and this is going to be a priority to me over the next couple of months to get finished. But after a week on this border, I decided I need a little bit of a break. So this is going to go away for a couple of weeks before I pull it back out again. But it's not going to be gone for very long. Like I say, this is my priority. I want this finished. It has been languishing too long, and it needs the attention that I need to give it in order to be able to finish. So, but yeah, I'll give you a little bit closer look of everything. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this turns out when it's all finished. Especially, I feel like I've done all the cross stitch. Now I'm putting in all the icing, and I'm excited to get to the point where I can put the beads in. I think that'll just really make things look really cool. So that is English Garden Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. So I said I I am putting that up for a couple of weeks. And as I mentioned, well, if you remember back in May, one of the pieces that I said I was going to start was this. This is Dragon Quaker by Stickideen von der Weienburg. I really like this piece. The colors, I love these floss colors. They are like my favorite colors. The blues and the greens and the purpley mauves. I really like that. Though I love that combination. So I was really excited to start this. And I had a piece of fabric that I started. And I started down in this corner with this kind of lavender motif. And it just looked dead on the fabric. You could barely see it, and it just looked dull and not very good. So I decided that I was going to choose a different fabric to stitch it on. And the fabric that I chose to stitch it on was 32 count dirty linen, 32 count dirty Belfast linen. But I didn't have enough to be able to stitch it. It was, I basically I basically took my floss and put it up against some of my existing projects to see if I could find a fabric that I thought would look good. And that was the one that looked good. It's the fabric that I'm using for a different project, and I needed more. So I ordered some, and like I say, it took a long time to get here, and it finally arrived. And so I have, last night I decided I was going to stitch this. And so I actually pulled it out last night and started it a day earlier than I would normally stitch. And I decided instead of starting down in the lower left-hand corner, I decided I was going to start in the upper left-hand corner. So this is what I have been able to do so far. Like, this is a very small start. I mean, this motif isn't even finished, but so far I am really enjoying this. I love this blue color against this fabric, and I am, like I say, I am really happy with this. So I am going to be working on this week, and am looking forward to getting some more motifs stitched and seeing how some of the other colors look against this color of linen. So that's basically what I am going to be working on this week. So that is all that I have to share with you today. Just a heads up, I will not be doing a video the next couple of weeks, so just hold on tight. And as I said, so in 3 weeks, I guess, we'll be talking about my 5,000 subscriber giveaway, and also showing what else I have been working on. I'm excited to work on this and whatever else comes up. As always, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe. If you want to follow my daily progress, you can find me on Instagram. I am at blitstitch on Instagram, and I post daily photos showing my stitching progress there. If you want to, if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I post videos. And if you, I always enjoy hearing from you, and will be glad to answer any questions that you have for me. So leave those in the comments below. And as always, feel free to like this video. I'm grateful for all of you and for all of your support. And I hope that you have a great time the next couple of weeks, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.